Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. There was a pretrial hearing today for disgraced Low Country attorney Alex Murdaugh. Murdaugh is charged in the 2021 killings of his wife Maggie and their youngest son Paul. Attorneys were in court discussing several pretrial matters, including the juror questionnaires that will be sent out soon to prospective jurors in Colleton County.
The parties have agreed to a general questionnaire, and we will have that for Your Honor by Monday. We would defer any sort of specific questions for the time when the jury actually appears. Additionally, we do have some various evidentiary and other motions that need to be heard, not requiring an evidentiary hearing, that need to be heard. And we would request, Your Honor, if perhaps we can have a hearing on those matters Friday next week so that we can address those.
Now, Murdaugh also faces charges related to dozens of financial crimes, including allegedly stealing nearly $420,000 from the law firm founded by his prominent legal family. And there are still several motions left unresolved in this case. Earlier this week, Murdaugh's defense team filed 4 motions. The first gives notice to the court that Murdaugh intends to assert an alibi defense, that he could not have committed the crime because he wasn't there and he can prove it. A second addresses alleged blood splatter on Alex's shirt, seeking to have that evidence excluded because of mishandling by prosecutors. And a third was regarding photographic evidence used by the prosecution. And a fourth was a motion for Murdaugh to remain unshackled in the courtroom during his trial. And that's, of course, coming up in January of 2023. Now, as far as that last one is concerned, today prosecutors did say they would not object to Murdaugh being unshackled during the trial. So I expect the judge to grant that motion. At least that's what one would expect. Still with me, private investigator Jason Jensen and former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira. Marie, I'll start with that alibi situation. Basically, he says in it that he was at the scene of the kennels where the murders took place before the murders, around up to 8:30. Then he's on his way to see his mom. Well, he arrives there around 9. He's making calls to his son Buster, his sister-in-law, and another person named Chris Wilson. He arrives there, the mom's there, her nurse's aide is there. So he has them. Then he's on his way back around 9:45, doesn't arrive back to the kennels till about 10:05, where he comes upon the dead bodies, making calls all along the way, coming back as well. Sounds to me like, you know, you've got the GPS situation, as we've seen many times in these trials. He's got some witnesses who can testify that either he was talking to them or saw him. What do you make of this alibi situation?
I think that the forensic evidence that's independent may work, but any witnesses could be biased witnesses. That's his mom, his son, the home health aide, people that know him and who would lie for him. The only thing that could really save him is independent verification, pings from cell towers and things like that, because we already know he's not the most trustworthy person. He's a liar and a thief.
And a thief, a major thief. I don't think thief is the right word for this guy. All right, now the more complicated part comes into this blood splatter situation. Why is that important? At the end of the day, if there's splatter on the t-shirt, right, that means that it came from or could have come from a gunshot wound. You're looking at some of that. This is the t-shirt that was taken from him. Or if it's just blood stains, which we know are on there, and it was just transferred when he was attending to the bodies that he came upon. So that's why it's important. I want to give a quick timeline here of what happened with this t-shirt, because this is important. The defense is claiming that it was mishandled completely by prosecutors, and either intentionally or it was gross negligence. Either way, they want it thrown out. All right, first, June 7th, that's when the murder happens. Paul and Maggie are murdered. The t-shirt is collected. June 9th, this is 2021. SLED, or the South Carolina law enforcement, tests a portion of the shirt near the hem. It tests positive for Maggie, but not Paul. July 21st, 2021, SLED cuts up the shirt and tests it again, and this is important, with LCV. Apparently, LCV is a chemical that's known to give false positives and also to ruin garments that are tested by it, so can't be further tested. They're saying, why would they do that? All right, they're saying they might have done it on purpose. All right? What that comes back with is that the front bottom of the shirt tests positive for Paul, which excludes Maggie, and the upper front of the shirt, which is where the state claims the splatter was, tests positive for Maggie, but it's inconclusive for Paul. Now we go to January 4th, 2022, New Year's. SLED tests the T-shirt, and they send it to Tom Bevel, who's a splatter expert, for review. Apparently, he does a report that's read in February of 2022 by Agent David Owen, and he says in that preliminary report, there's no misting, no blood splatter, and the stains were consistent with transfer, not splatter. February 7th, Agent Owen meets with supervisors, has a Zoom meeting with Bevel. February 15th, he goes out and meets with him in Oklahoma City, right? And in between all that, they realize that this LCV that they tested with, it ruins the shirt. You can see a picture of it. It turns blue. Can't test it anymore. Interesting stuff. So on February 15th, all right, actually March 10th, he goes out to OKC, meets with Tom Bevel. Now, March 29th, there is a new report issued by Bevel. This one says that the bloodstains on the front of the shirt are splatter. And the issue the defense has with that is he couldn't have done any more testing because the shirt was ruined back a few months before. So, Jason, I want to know from you, they sound like, again, these are all their allegations in the motion. It sounds to me like they have a pretty decent case here if, in fact, they can show that there was gross negligence or even there was purposefully a test done that they knew would ruin this test. Because now the defense wants to test it, they can't.
Right, Mike. Clearly, if all that history is proven to be accurate, you know, there's a spoliation claim by the defense, and you can even allege that it was deliberately transferred in order to create a false piece of evidence linking him to the crime scene, because typically when there is a shooting murder of this nature, you will get back spatter from the victims if you're close enough. So if there's a high velocity blood stain on his shirt, there's no other explanation for it to be there other than he was present during the murder. However, if they can show that it was a transfer during mishandling, you know, obviously the evidence would be contaminated due to that, or, you know, if they destroy it so you can't do some defense testing afterwards, those are problematic, and it's really something like the judge could you know, exclude.
Yeah, and they're claiming it's a violation of his due process rights, which, again, they're going to look into this. There'll be a hearing. If they find that that's the case, this important evidence, which I think is truly key to the prosecution's case, could be thrown out altogether. We'll have to wait and see. I believe there's another hearing scheduled for next week. They really want to get this thing going in January.